Yo, how's it going, guys? Got quite a special video today. Going to be commentating all 35 of my flying laps around all the Team Sport tracks. It's not so much a track guide, like how to take this corner, blah blah blah. It's more what I liked about the track, what I didn't like about the track, just general stuff really. I want to thank Team Sport for the prize they gave me at Kart Champs 2019. Basically, it's unlimited credits for a prolonged period of time. Brilliant prize which enabled me to do this. If you want to see just a particular track, then look in the description for the timestamp. Otherwise, let's go for it. First off with Team Sport Crawley then. Yeah, brilliant track. Definitely one of the best ones that Team Sport have. They have 3 floors in this one. It is a little bit narrow in places, so if someone is defending pretty well, it is quite hard to get by. But I'm a massive fan of the track design. It is quite complex, which I like. Some weirdly angled corners as well. The best bits here is where you get massive drop down all the way from the top floor to the bottom floor, a constant right. It's brilliant. Onto the bottom floor where there's a surface change, a very common theme at Team Sport, where they have the bottom floor a different surface altogether. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of this track and the staff. I think the staff here are some of the best. They're very passionate about karting and just very passionate in general about how their drivers get on and all that good stuff. Team Sport Crawley, definitely one of my favourites. Team Sport Brighton, I think the first corner is actually the most interesting one on the track here. I think it's taken all sorts of ways. I take it quite narrow or quite tight compared to other people, I've been told. But regardless, it works for me. Overall, this track has a fairly simple design. I quite like this wonky bridge. I think that's quite cool, but it is just made up of hairpins really. So in terms of track design, it doesn't really excel, but it is grippy, and you're flat out quite a lot, which is pretty good. And yeah, considering the size of the track, not too bad at all. Gosport now, again another short track, quite a slippery track actually, if it's not a members thing, or even when it is a members thing, it is quite slippery. Even if you go slightly offline, the track becomes very slippery, so you need to stay on the racing line quite a lot. Some of the corners do flow pretty well into each other, which is good. Momentum's very key around this track as well, in terms of this bridge here, because you're coming onto it out of a slow corner very quickly into the last corner, throw it into the last hairpin. Not too bad, not too bad. Eastleigh or Southampton, whatever you call it, probably the smallest track on the out of all the ones they have. I do apologise for the lighting in this video, but yeah, it is quite straightforward. It's good that it was slippery. It made it a bit more interesting for me when I went. However, it's not that interesting in terms of track design, but the staff are nice. The last corner is pretty good fun, and that's kind of all there is to say about this track. But no, it is good fun when it's slippery, and that's all that matters. Farnborough, quite quite a weird one, how the first half of the track is identical to the second half of the track. I don't think there's another track that is like that. It is very slippery. It's electric karts as well, so even more slippery for some reason, probably because of the great torque it has. It is very simple track design again, but it does flow nicely when it's green light for ages. It's quite frustrating when it's constantly yellow, because you don't really get to drive the track up to speed. But no, it's a very slippery track. Definitely favours the more heavier drivers. But it's not too bad. Again, it's simple track design, and the first half is literally the second half, so not too much to learn here. Reading, one of my favourites out of all of them. Again, 3 levels, which I like. What's great about this track is just attack every single corner. Some parts of the track is slippery, some parts of it is very grippy. I just think the track design is absolutely on point. The size of the track is on point. We're talking like 50 plus seconds per lap. Yeah, I mean the staff here are brilliant as well. They're very passionate about karting in general. So yeah, I do have a soft spot for Reading. This top floor here, good fun. Overall, it's a brilliant track. I've done lots of members events here. Really enjoyed it. And going into the last spot here, down the ramp, flick it right to round off a very solid track indeed. Very solid. Massive apologies for the lighting in this video. It's going to be awful, but this is Mitcham. Definitely a more laid back track. I like this part here where you absolutely send it through this right hander, and then you've got two hairpins that follow it. I think from memory it was quite grippy. I'm not too sure, but to be honest, the track design was actually quite good. I did really enjoy this track and driving. It's around 40 seconds long, which is not bad at all. This is my favourite bit, where you're coming down here, flicking it right, and there's just another right, carried at pretty good speed, and then you've got the last corner here where you can't see anything thanks to my GoPro. No, I enjoyed Mitcham. It's a good track. Harlow, definitely a very grippy track actually. Harlow, I mean, I was on track here by myself and I had all the grip in the world. It's quite a straightforward track, but there are some very key parts to it, such as here. You can take all of this bit flat out as well, which I liked, especially when everything's up to speed. And it's just, yeah, I mean, you're flat out for a long time here, for a large majority of the track. It's quite cool how it flows here, like up the right, right upper ramp, right upper ramp, right upper ramp. That's quite cool. It's like a never-ending right, going into the last section here, with all the grip in the world. Edmonton now, very unique track, I have to say, in London. I mean, it's like the most narrow and the widest track I've ever seen. This part obviously being quite narrow, but I thought the track design was really good. I really enjoyed the track design. A few complex areas here, chucking it in right here, and then here is so wide, so the overtaking opportunities is brilliant. Really good. Upper ramp here, apologies for the lighting. Flat out round these corners. This is probably one of the best corners actually, this left-hander. If you nail the slide, it is pretty good. And then this last section here where you're on a ramp turning right, I loved it. I thought it was really cool. Then we get held up. Acton, yeah, a bit more underwhelming than the other tracks. Very short track as well. Electric karts along with that. So pretty good torque. Definitely needed to be electric karts around here, I think, just to keep it exciting. But yeah, it's basically a figure of 8. That's literally what Acton is, a figure of 8. And we're coming to the end of the lap already. That is Acton. Not too much more to say about it. Dunstable, I was quite surprised how narrow this track was. I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure. I think the track design was pretty good. Overtaking opportunities, not so good. I'll make that very clear. But no, it is exciting to drive. And just look how narrow this section is. I know it doesn't, well, actually it doesn't look that narrow, but it looks narrow here. Yeah, no opportunities really to overtake if you're with someone who's at the same pace of you. This bit's quite cool, how much it tightens up. It's all about learning the different angles of the corners really. This section's quite wide, but not really an overtaking spot. But overall, Dunstable, I thought it was a great track in terms of going for a fast lap time. Basildon, now, I was greatly impressed with how wide the track was. I mean, it means like overtaking opportunities are certainly there. No, I just thought the track flows really well. I've definitely clearly gone when it was really slippery, like downstairs here. Wow, yeah, I mean, it was very slippery. I was all over the place. But it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. Just flowing in from one corner to the next with very little steering input, has to be said. I quite like it when tracks are like that. This part here was so slippery when I went. But yeah, I think that in terms of overtaking opportunities and going for a fast lap time, Basildon definitely delivers. I like this last section here where you're turning while you're in the air. That's pretty cool. Yeah, thumbs up from me for Basildon. London Docklands, what a brilliant track. It's changed very, very slightly. Like one corner's changed a little bit since I've been there, but we'll get to that. The surface is very different to your normal team sport, so that takes some getting used to. But in terms of location and the actual track itself, it's brilliant. I really, really enjoyed coming to this venue. Yeah, it's this top section up here that's changed a bit. It's become more of one corner, so it's a constant right now. It's not an actual like chicane like you have here, which is a shame. but I can see why it would have caused issues before. Again, different track surfaces here. I'm having to steer quite a lot in places where you wouldn't think I'd have to steer. But no, and then I quite like this banked corner here as well. Yeah, London Docklands was a lot of fun. I'll definitely go back again because I just genuinely enjoy the track. Team Sport Cardiff. Oh my god, we're in Sody karts. Wait, what? How's this Team Sport? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you don't drive Sody karts, this is a different experience. Cardiff was a good track. I enjoyed it. It was definitely more challenging to be consistent in the Sody karts, and it was quite slippery downstairs as well. Very open here, which is nice. Feels like you can breathe a bit going into this corner. It's all about just getting used to the kart, really. This bit's really slippery as well. It's so easy to just smash the tyre wall on the left there. Yeah, but this bit's quite complex as well. Got to nail that. I think Cardiff is pretty good, and I like the karts as well. Bristol now, just a few sections that you need to nail, then you practically have the track dialed in. I quite like this corner here. I love how slippery it is, and you're just constantly fighting the car and just drifting it round. That was sick. Very swift change of direction there before you're going up the ramp. With it being so slippery like this, you need to nail the exits of the corners. This section's really wide, but like it's still easy to defend if you're in a race situation. But again, you know, wide indoor tracks are definitely not a bad thing. It feels like you can actually race on it. This last corner is probably the hardest one to nail, especially when it's slippery. But yeah, I enjoyed Bristol. I think it was a good track overall. Team Sports Stoke electric karts. This is actually where the Kart Champs 2019 final was held, where I won the prize to be able to do this video. Yeah, I actually think this is a really fun track to attack. It's very slippery as well. It was a lot grippier on this occasion than it was in the final. But no, I do enjoy driving this track. I like that down ramp a few seconds ago where you're braking and turning while going down the slope. I thought that was cool. And yeah, it's just to race on. Sometimes it can be a pain, but in terms of going for fast laps, it's very enjoyable indeed. Team Sport Coventry. I've got a good quality video for this one. It reminded me a bit of Dunstable, especially this section here where it constantly tightens and follows through to a left, and the track surface is very grippy at the same time. I enjoyed this part here where you storm down the ramp and throw it into a left. A true chuck it in corner. This section was cool as well, where you're flat out and you get into two very, very tight hairpins. I can imagine that's a mess if you're trying to race someone there. Until you're back into pure daylight again, and just getting as close as you can to the barriers. Around a 40-second lap time, which is pretty good, as I say, for an indoor track. So yeah, thumbs up from me. Leicester now with, I mean, overall quite a straightforward track with a few complex areas, a few unique areas as well. Leicester does feel quite wide, which is excellent. Feels like you can breathe a bit more. So these sections are quite straightforward. Nothing really that you wouldn't have done before. This banked ramp, banked corner, sorry, that is very cool, very unique. I don't think any other track had something like that. And this section as well is slightly banked. Getting as close as you can to the barrier. You literally can't make a mistake there. Otherwise, you just lose all your momentum. But overall, Leicester, I enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. Team Sport Birmingham, quite a lot of attack. I think it definitely warmed me out a bit more compared to the other tracks. Where you're practically always constantly turning, and there's a lot of sharp corners, a lot of flat out corners. So overall, a very decent track indeed, with lasting around 45 seconds, I think, something like that. I love this really fast left-right, and you get into a very key corner here, because if you mess that up, you've destroyed all your momentum on the ramp. I like how you have to bring it to the left here. A very precise racing line you need to take around this track. And then again, the iconic two hairpins that Team Sport do. And this corner where you need to go in a bit wider than you think. I enjoyed it. Birmingham gets a thumbs up from me. Manchester Victoria. I had a tragic time trying to get a hot lap for this video. But this is a hot lap though. Going into this corner here, I thought it was quite a unique track in a way, especially I think this was electric karts as well. Um, yeah, it does flow quite nicely, but that's about it really. Victoria is not overly interesting in terms of track design, but I can imagine it's good fun with your mates. There's a few areas where you can overtake as well. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Team Sport Preston, definitely one of the best tracks that Team Sport have. Again, 3 floors, and it's really wide as well. I mean, yeah, this is definitely one of my favourites, and I'll be coming back at some point when I can. This section, or the whole bottom floor, is really slippery. Like, you have to really take a completely different line when it was more slippery than this. Just basically driving to where the grip was, as that's the most important thing. Like you see there, I'm trying to take it as tight as possible because that's just where you don't get as much wheel spin. And then I enjoyed this flat out for God knows how long. A constant left, so a bit like Harlow, just the other way. So constant left into a pretty nice section here. It flows really nicely, especially due to how big the track is, how wide it is. And I really like this last corner here where you're going down the ramp into a quick right left. Big thumbs up from me for Preston. Definitely one of the best tracks that Team Sport have. Team Sport Warrington, contender for the best track that Team Sport have, definitely. Very, very unique track as well. There's no other Team Sport track like it, with the different surfaces and just how grippy it is. This is definitely the Team Sport that is hardest on your hands. That is due to how high the grip is, especially around these sections here. This was, when was this? I think this video was when it was slightly less grip on the tyres. But I mean, as you can see, I've still got grip for days. Yeah, some really fun sections, really complex, and you can finally breathe a bit after that section with these flat out areas here. Yeah, this track is definitely one of the best indoor tracks in the UK. There's no doubt about it, and there's no wonder why BIKC hosts their final here practically every year. Great track to drive. I love it. I'll definitely be back at some point. I need to do a members event there really, but no, massively enjoyed it. Nottingham, I've been to this track quite a few times actually because I go to uni at Nottingham Trent. Really enjoy coming here. It's actually a very fun track considering it's not that long. They've been able to fit quite a few corners into such a short space of time, really short layout. This bridge section is good. This section down here is really easy to like destroy your car on the left hand side into quite a weird angled corner, and then the last corner is really weird. Like there's like no grip if you try and take the racing line. I see I made it work there, but no, overall really fun track considering the size. Team Sport Liverpool, straight into a left hander here into a hairpin, iconic. Again, a different layout, different type of surface layout. A bit similar to Docklands. Again, quite a wide track actually, so definitely a few overtaking opportunities here, but the straights are not overly long. This section was quite interesting, very weirdly angled. Took me off guard first few laps. And yeah, it is quite flat out here actually, but it is into a fast corner, so overtaking is not too easy. But overall, Liverpool, definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, good track. Manchester Trafford Park used to be Daytona Manchester, and it feels like a Daytona venue as well. It feels very grand. I don't know how different it is compared to Daytona Manchester. I know the layout kept changing as well anyway. But no, I really enjoyed this track. It was really cold when I went, so quite slippery. I was able to slide the car basically everywhere with no problems at all. I enjoyed trying to push for fast laps around here. Yeah, it was good fun. Fun part with the bridge here. But not overall not too much to say about it. Just a few corners you need to learn, which you may have not done before. But no, Team Sport Manchester Trafford Park, good track. Watford now, I think this is one of the newest, if not the newest track that Team Sport have, I think. I I've heard that the track surface, especially downstairs, has completely deteriorated in terms of it's so slippy now, like more slippy than you see in this video. But no, when I went, I enjoyed it. Electric karts as well. I thought I was going to struggle around here because of how slippery it was and the fact that it was electric karts. But I didn't have too much of a torrid time. I did enjoy it. Some nice corners, nice layout, and yeah, that's Team Sport Watford really. Not too far from my house as well, so pretty good. I like this part here where you left and then you sharp left, chuck it into a right, chuck it into a left. It felt like you were always busy, which was nice. It was nice. The Scotland tracks now, Dundee. What a track! This track. The staff here are so quick to like putting a yellow light on and clearing it. It was quite funny, quite amusing to me. It was really hard to get a hot lap for this video because of how busy the session was really. But no, there's some interesting angled corners, especially here. Just got to nail it all really. Quite sharp corners, quite fast corners. Considering how small the track is, it had a bit of everything. So yeah, it was cool. Scott Kart Clydebank again. This is definitely a contender for one of the smallest tracks, but it doesn't feel overly too small because you're flat out for practically all of it, nearly all of it. Yeah, just got to nail the different angles, the weirdly angled corners. But no, this was actually a really fun track to attack. You're attacking literally every corner, and we're coming to the end of the lap now, and that's Scott Kart Clydebank. I think I'd set a really good time here. Scott Kart Cambuslang, definitely the best Scott Kart track. There's no doubt about that. Some really cool corners here, which I liked, and it had an upstairs section on its own as well, which was nice. Yeah, I quite enjoyed driving this track in terms of how the corners flowed to each other. I think the top section is definitely the best section. It was quite a few weird angled corners to learn for this one, and I don't think I nailed it all in this video either. I think overtaking opportunities are quite minimal here, I won't lie, but overall in terms of setting fast times, it was a very decent track indeed. Team Sport Sheffield, I apologise for the lighting of the video later on. This is definitely a contender for one of the best Team Sport tracks as well. It's kind of 3 floors, it's kind of 2 or 3 floors, I don't know what it is. No, I thought the track design was very spot on really. It's quite challenging to be consistent as well, like set a full consistent lap here. Different track surfaces as well, which is good because it's nice to have different challenges. I thought this section was cool with how it tightened up. Reminded me a bit of Crawley. Yeah, I had a lot of fun here. I think they could fit like 20 drivers on the track at once. Up the ramp here. Because you come from downstairs, upstairs, back downstairs again, which is quite rare for a team sport track, that you go upstairs and downstairs multiple times within the same floor. But no, Sheffield was brilliant, not too far from my uni as well, so I'll definitely be going back. Very fun track indeed, really enjoyed it. Team Sport Leeds, unique track, definitely, quite different to your usual Team Sport track. A surface which is basically same as Docklands, at least it feels like it. A lot of it to left, right, left, as you can see there. This track was surprisingly quite difficult to be consistent on. I think that's because there's some bumps in the track as well, can make it quite unpredictable. The bridge section is definitely the best section, very entertaining. You just fly through here, taking it flat out into the final 2 hairpins. I quite liked how the pit lane was upstairs as well, quite upstairs in its own area. I don't know, little things were quite cool. But no, Leeds was pretty good, and I think it was fairly hard on the hands. Bradford, I did Leeds and Bradford on the same day, so they couldn't have been more different to each other. It took some time getting used to this. As I say, Sody Karts is already different enough, yet alone having the surface like really slippery. But Bradford impressed me. I was quite surprised at Bradford. It was a lot bigger track than I was expecting, with some pretty cool corners. It was again another track where you basically just drive to where the grip is, not so much what the fastest line appears to be. No, it was good. I like this section here where you fly down here and chuck it to the right. You can't open up the corner too much there because otherwise you just get on the slippery stuff. But no, Team Sport Bradford definitely impressed me. May go back there again, but I'll definitely go back when it's a members event, because otherwise there's just too many yellows, and we can't be having that really. Hull, Team Sport Hull, short track, very busy, incredibly hard to get a hot lap for this. I literally just had to back everyone up so I could get a lap for this video. That's how dedicated I was. No, some pretty tricky corners here, a very weird track surface. And in the time I've spoken there, we're practically at the end already. So not too much to Hull. But it's relatively okay, but it's too short. It's too short. On to the last two now. Stockton here. These last two I did after BIKC 2021, so I had to go back to the old helmet, get the GoPro on. Stockton impressed me. Well, it didn't impress me, but it was definitely exceeded expectations. Some of the corners were very slippery, such as here. You could just drift for decades. Really important that you got the corner entries correct, otherwise you're basically screwed. And this section was so slippery, like you couldn't even take the racing line there. You just had to drive to where the grip was or where the track wanted you to be. It was a nightmare getting a fast lap for this one as well, with how many yellows there were. But no, Stockton was a good track, and I can imagine when it's more grippy, it's even better. Finally, Newcastle, the last one that I did out of all the tracks, so this is the last one I had to tick off, and this was a brilliant one to finish off on. The staff here were brilliant. I thought they were absolutely excellent, and the track design is on point as well. Really enjoyed this track. I mean, it's quite far, but I'd love to go back again at some point to do a members event of some sorts. No, this track was brilliant, and trying to be consistent around every corner, every lap was a very good challenge indeed. I like this section here, where you're going left and it suddenly tightens and straight into another corner. Again, it just had very good corner sequences, which I enjoyed. A varying amount of grip everywhere as well, which was nice to try and get used to different parts. I like the challenge that tracks give when there's different surfaces. But yeah, finishing on Newcastle, it was a great track. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.